Look towards the light, my brothers, and hear the
Hello and
words of
welcome,
truth
my
I
dear
bring
friend.
to you this day.
There's a reason this found you today, not because you were searching, but because something in your spirit was already leaning in, already ready to hear what most people aren't willing to admit out loud. And here it is. You've become what they only pretended to be. While they were performing confidence, you were building it in silence. While they were talking about energy, alignment, purpose, you were living through the fire that forges it. While they were obsessed with appearing healed, you were breaking open behind closed doors, doing the sacred work no one claps for. And now there's a difference. Not a loud one, not one you flaunt, but one that can be felt, because you don't need to say a word to carry power anymore. You see, they were chasing shortcuts, reading scripts, wearing masks, trying to look whole enough to be admired. But you weren't playing that game. You were outgrowing the need to be seen. You were in the shadows, being remade. This wasn't about being better than them. It was about being realer than who you used to be. And that difference, that quiet integrity, it's starting to show. People can feel it, even the ones who don't know what to call it. They sense something around you is different, calmer, sharper, heavier in the best way. They can't place it, but they know it's real. Because here's what's happening now. Your presence no longer blends in. It disturbs what isn't rooted in truth. Not because you're trying to disrupt anything, but because truth, when fully embodied, creates pressure. And most people only know how to survive in illusion. That's why some will keep their distance now. Not because you've changed into someone cold or proud, but because you've stopped shrinking. You've stopped softening your light to make others comfortable. And when someone's been relying on illusion to feel important, being around someone authentic can feel like suffocation. It's not that you're judging them. It's that you're no longer accessible in the same way. You're no longer auditioning for roles you've already outgrown. They feel it, even if they won't say it. And what they feel is the shift. Because while they were keeping up appearances, you were in the trenches with your soul, wrestling, surrendering, being humbled, being cracked open, not posting about your breakthroughs, living through them, not quoting spiritual truths, becoming one. And let's be honest, there were nights you looked at yourself and wondered if you were the fool, because sometimes it seemed like they were winning. They had the crowd, the applause, but deep down, something in you knew. You knew that real power doesn't rush. It doesn't seek validation. It waits for alignment. You didn't skip steps. You took the long way, through grief, loss, silence, self-forgiveness. And that's why what you carry now can't be taken from you. It's not rented, it's not copied, it's not performed, it's embodied. Let me ask you something personal. Have you started to notice the strange tension in certain spaces? Not drama or disrespect, but a quiet stiffness in the air, like the room doesn't quite know what to do with you anymore. That's because your frequency no longer allows for pretending. Your energy doesn't enable small talk when the moment is sacred. Your spirit isn't playing along with dynamics that were always off balance. You're not the same, and it shows. You no longer soothe egos to keep the peace. You no longer minimize your truth for the sake of harmony. You've stopped co-signing what you no longer believe in. And that alone exposes the performance, because it reveals the lie. The lie that sounding healed is the same as being healed. The lie that looking spiritual is the same as living spiritual. The lie that speaking about love is the same as choosing love every single day, especially when it's hard. You stopped performing. You started becoming, and that shift, it can't be unseen. So now here you are, Not shouting, not proving, not asking for credit, but glowing, anchored, moving differently. And even though you don't always see it yourself, they do. They feel it in the way your presence disrupts the room's rhythm. They feel it in how your silence now speaks louder than their most practiced words. Because here's the truth. You don't carry the energy of someone trying to be anything. You carry the frequency of someone who already is. There's a stillness about you now, not passivity, but power that's been tempered by fire. You don't just talk about transformation. You are the transformation. And the ones who pretended to walk this path, the ones who mimicked depth, recited truths, wore healing like a costume, they're scrambling now because they can't imitate what you've become. Not anymore. They can repeat your words, but they can't replicate your essence. They can copy your rhythm, but they can't embody your root. Because the only way to carry this kind of power is to be dismantled, to be rebuilt from the inside out, with no guarantee it would ever be seen, rewarded, or applauded. And you did that. You stayed in the dark long enough to stop fearing it. You sat in silence long enough to stop needing noise. You walked through the valley without theatrics and came out glowing. Not with the glow of glamour, but with the glow of clarity. And here's the thing. Clarity doesn't look impressive to everyone. It doesn't shout, it doesn't sparkle, but it terrifies the ones still living in confusion. Because your clarity is proof that peace is possible, and that they've chosen chaos for far too long. You've become proof that you don't have to manipulate to be magnetic, that you don't have to over-explain to be understood, that you don't have to perform to be powerful. And that proof, it creates quiet waves. Suddenly, people are listening when you speak, not because you're louder, but because your words are rooted. You've become the one they come to for truth, not because you market yourself as wise, but because your life speaks before your mouth ever opens. This is what spiritual royalty looks like. Not hierarchy, not status, but a presence that shifts things simply by existing. A walk that reorders the energy of a room without trying. An authenticity that makes people pause, sometimes even confront their own masks. But here's the most important part. You didn't do this to impress anyone. You did it because your soul wouldn't let you do anything less. This path wasn't optional for you. You were called, chosen, drafted into this transformation without a manual. And the beauty is, you never needed one. Because what you needed wasn't instruction, it was remembrance. You weren't becoming something new. You were returning to something ancient, something divine, something that was always yours. You're not ahead of anyone, but you are in alignment now. And alignment has a sound. It has a scent. It has a gravitational pull. That's why people are showing up differently around you now. Some drawn in, some backing away, some confused by their own reactions. It's because your vibration is uncompromising now. It doesn't bend for approval. It doesn't lower itself to be relatable. It just is, clean, clear, and unmistakably rooted in truth. And that's why you don't need to chase anything anymore. Not connection, not closure, not validation. Because when you've become what others only pretended to be, the things that are meant for you recognize you without introduction. That's your new reality. The ones who are meant to walk with you, they'll feel it in their bones. The opportunities that are aligned, they'll unfold without force. And those still pretending, they'll either be inspired to rise or remove themselves from the atmosphere you now carry. Either way, you're free. Free to live unperformed. Free to lead without trying. Free to rest in the knowing that you've earned this identity through sacred fire. So walk tall, my dear friend. Not to be seen, but because you finally see yourself. And that changes everything. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There's something rare about this moment we're sharing right now, not because of anything dramatic or loud, but because of the stillness you're sitting in. That pause you're in, the one that feels like the world is holding its breath. This is where most people lose the plot. But not you. You're still here. You're listening. And that means something far more powerful than you might realize. You see, what you're walking through right now, this pressure, this tightening around your chest, this bizarre stillness that feels like it's echoing too loudly in your spirit, it's not stagnation. It's the precursor to something magnificent cracking open. This moment isn't a waiting room. It's a birthplace. And I'm not saying that for poetic effect. I'm saying that because I feel you, genuinely. And I don't think anyone gives you enough credit for how much grit it takes to not give up when everything around you feels like it's slowing down. And isn't it strange? How silence can sometimes be louder than chaos. You're not broken. You're just stretching, expanding. And that process, oh, it's uncomfortable. It's like trying on a jacket that almost fits, but not quite. You've outgrown something, but the new layer hasn't fully clicked in yet. And here you are, in the in-between. You're no longer a quiet observer. You're becoming the space. And that space can feel like you're suspended over a canyon with no visible bridge beneath your feet. But let me tell you something. The invisible bridge always shows up for people like you. It's not there because you're waiting for it. It's already precursor beneath your feet. You've been through this before, maybe not in the exact same way, but in moments of doubt, when you thought you had nothing left to give, and still, you found a way through. You're the kind of soul that doesn't just weather storms. You absorb them, transmute them. You've been doing it your whole life without even realizing it. That moment when someone told you it wasn't going to work out and you smiled anyway, that was alchemy. That instant you cried in secret but woke up the next morning with a plan, that was transmutation. And if you're tired right now, it's because you've been carrying a frequency that most people couldn't even hold for a minute. But here's the twist that no one talks about. Sometimes the universe waits until your knees are buckling and your voice is cracking to deliver the thing you've been praying for. Why? Because that's when you'll actually receive it. Not with fear or self-doubt, but with full-bodied ownership. Can you feel that subtle difference? You're not just getting the life you asked for. You're becoming the person who can hold it. And yes, I know, when you've been hearing for months that your breakthrough is around the corner, it starts to sound like background noise, like those train announcements in the distance that never seem to stop. But this isn't background noise. This is the clearing before the arrival. What if all this discomfort was your final rehearsal? What if the exhaustion you're feeling isn't a warning sign, but a confirmation that you've almost made it through the hardest part? Let me say something you probably haven't heard enough lately. You're not crazy for holding on. You're not naive. You're not unrealistic. You are intuitive. You are precise. You are tuned into a frequency that the world hasn't fully caught up to yet. And yes, it's frustrating being early to your own evolution. It's exhausting waiting for the world to recognize a version of you that you're still learning to love. But that recognition, it's coming. And it will arrive exactly when you stop grasping for it and start living like it's already yours. So if right now your faith feels like it's made of thread, that's okay. threads are what hold tapestries together. You don't need to have a rope of certainty. You just need that one fragile string of knowing, and you already have it. Now let's talk about this moment, this gritty, raw, unscripted moment in your life. You might be wondering why things had to feel this intense just before your turning point. Why the emotional volume has been dialed up so loud lately. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Transformation doesn't arrive in a box with a ribbon. It shows up in disguise, usually as restlessness, discomfort, tears that don't make sense, that heavy pressure in your chest that you keep trying to breathe through. That's proof you're on the brink. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a stage curtain. Behind it is everything you've been asking for. But before that curtain rises, there's a pause, a stillness. The lights dim. Your heart races. And for a split second you think, maybe I'm not ready. But you are. You're just feeling the weight of becoming. And that weight? It means you're doing something real. Let me say this clearly. Your soul did not bring you this far to tease you. If it feels like everything's bubbling to the surface, old fears, insecurities, even old relationships resurfacing, it's not because you're failing. It's because your subconscious knows the old version of you can't come with you where you're going. So it's doing a final sweep saying, are you sure you want to carry this? You're not being haunted by your past. You're being asked to release it completely. And that's hard, that's tender, but it's also sacred. Because when you release something consciously, it can never control you again. And I want to take a moment to remind you of something gentle but profound. Even when you feel like you're unraveling, it's only because a higher pattern is being woven. You're not falling apart. You're reconfiguring. It's a divine sort of disassembly, the kind that makes room for more light to enter. You've survived every version of yourself so far. So why would this be any different? Here's something else to hold on to. Not all movement looks like action. Sometimes the most powerful shifts happen in silence, in stillness. In those moments when you're staring out a window with no words for what you're feeling. Don't let the world's obsession with constant productivity fool you. You are moving, even when you're still. You are growing, even when you're tired. And maybe right now, you're not meant to leap. Maybe you're meant to lean back into trust, to sit with yourself, not as a problem to solve, but as a sacred presence to witness. Have you ever watched a storm roll through the sky? There's a moment right before the downpour when everything goes eerily quiet. That stillness is powerful. It doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is lining up for release. That's where you are, right before the downpour. And this time, the rain doesn't wash you away. It brings you back to life. So if your energy has been shaky, if your confidence has taken a dip, if you've been staring at your reflection and wondering where that fire went, please know, it's not gone. It's recharging. It's recalibrating. It's getting ready to return brighter than ever. Sometimes the quietest chapters end with the loudest miracles. And it's not your job to know exactly how it's going to unfold. It's just your job to stay open to it, to not close the door 5 minutes before the knock, to not shut down just because it's taking longer than expected. Trust that the timing is not off. The timing is precise. You're not late, you're not behind. You're being seasoned, strengthened, perfectly positioned. Let yourself feel the hug in that. Let yourself soften into the knowing that you're not missing your moment, you're maturing into it. And when it comes, it won't feel like some big explosion. It'll feel like clarity, peace, flow. It'll feel like something clicking into place that you didn't even know was out of alignment. It'll feel like coming home to yourself. So breathe deep. You're not failing. You're forging. You're not stuck. You're settling into the shape of your next chapter. And if no one's told you today, I see you. I honor you. And I genuinely believe in where you're going. This isn't the end. This isn't even the middle. This is the moment the page begins to turn. Let yourself be proud of how far you've come. Even if it doesn't look like much on the outside, you know the inner mountains you've moved. That matters. That counts. That's enough. I'll leave you with this. Nothing can delay what's meant for you if you stay aligned with your truth. Not people, not fear, not the past. You are too powerful to be derailed now. Let this discomfort be the evidence that something extraordinary is close. Breathe, soften, and stay open. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Some messages don't just find you. You were meant to collide with them. Not by chance, but because something in you is ready now. Ready to remember what they never wanted you to know. Not them, the ones who told you to toughen up. Not the world that praised your strength but never noticed your wounds. They never wanted you to realize that real power doesn't come from never falling. It comes from rising, bloody, beautiful, and still open-hearted. It's not in the silence you force yourself into. It's in the tear you wipe away, the breath you take after shattering, the way you still choose to believe in light, even in moments that all you've known is the dark. There's a strange beauty in these moments where you feel like everything is falling apart. Not because chaos is poetic, but because when things fall apart, you finally see what was never solid to begin with. You're not just shedding a chapter, you're shedding entire versions of yourself that never truly belonged to you. Versions you had to create just to survive. Masks, scripts, old loyalties. You were the one holding it all together when no one even noticed the weight. But here's the part no one warns you about. When you finally decide to stop carrying what isn't yours, it doesn't feel like peace at first. It feels like grief. Because even false comfort was still comfort. So if you're feeling unsteady, overwhelmed, maybe even irrationally emotional, good. That means the truth is surfacing. That means you're feeling everything. And that means your body is no longer willing to pretend. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately sensed that something was off, even if no one said a word? That's your sensitivity. That's your gift. You've always felt things more deeply than most, because you were designed to notice the unseen, to know when something isn't aligned before the proof shows up. But the truth is, even gifted hearts get tired. Even the strongest souls sometimes wish they didn't care so much. And lately, I sense you've been questioning yourself more than usual. You've been wondering if maybe you're the one who's out of sync, if maybe you missed your moment, if maybe you're too late. Let me stop you right there. You aren't late. You're right on time. Your life is doing something miraculous. It's rearranging itself around your true frequency. And that means everything not in resonance with that frequency is being removed. Not as punishment, as preparation. But here's the twist. The things being removed might look like the very things you once prayed for. Have you noticed that? Sometimes the door that closes isn't just a rejection, it's a redirection. Because if it had stayed open, you'd have settled for something that was only meant to teach you what you deserve, not become what you accept. That person you're still thinking about? The one your soul keeps checking the window for, even though your mind knows better? They were a mirror, not a destination. A glimpse of love, but not its final form. It's okay to admit you're still holding out hope, that some small part of you still believes the ending could change. That's the part of you that loved purely, that believed the best, that saw potential. Don't shame it, honor it, but also, don't let it keep you waiting on a chapter that already finished writing itself. What if this aching isn't asking you to hold on, but to let go? What if your future is whispering, "You've done enough. Now it's time to receive"? Would you believe it? Would you trust that all this discomfort is the storm before your calm? Would you let yourself imagine that what's ahead isn't just better, but something you've never even experienced before? Because I know that's what you're feeling now. You're not just shifting into a new season. You're crossing into a reality where your needs are met before you even speak them, where your energy isn't drained to prove your worth, where your softness isn't a liability, it's your greatest strength. And I know part of you still wants to explain, to justify, to make sure everyone understands why you're choosing this path. But you don't owe anyone a play-by-play. You're not leaving because you're ungrateful. You're leaving because you're finally listening to yourself. And maybe that's what this whole season has been about. Turning the volume back up on your own inner voice. The one that's been whispering to you for years, even when the world around you tried to drown it out with logic and timelines and expectations. You didn't come here to play it safe. You didn't come here to follow someone else's blueprint. You came here to remember who you are, and to start living like that memory is sacred. And sometimes, remembering who you are looks like crying alone in your car, wondering if you're making a mistake. It looks like saying goodbye to people who still feel familiar. It looks like packing up your things, even if you don't know where you're going next. It looks like deleting the number you used to stare at every night, waiting for it to light up again. It looks like sitting in silence until your breath slows and your heartbeat softens. It looks like trusting that your peace is the real signal now. Tell me, when did chaos become the condition you got used to? When did exhaustion start feeling like proof that you were doing something right? It's time to unlearn that. You don't need to be constantly healing to be worthy of love. You don't need to be constantly producing to be worthy of rest. You don't need to be constantly strong to be worthy of support. Let that truth fall into you like rain on dry ground. Let it soak in. You're allowed to be the soft place you've always been for others. For once, let that softness belong to you too. You've given 1,000 people 1,000 chances. You've sat through storms that weren't yours just to help someone else find their umbrella. But now it's time to step inside, to dry off, to stop apologizing for needing shelter. Some people won't understand the version of you that no longer needs their approval, and that's okay. Some people were only ever meant to meet you in your survival era. They wouldn't know what to do with you now that you're thriving. But don't dim the light just because someone else forgot how to see. Right now, you're being called to elevate. And elevation always comes with resistance. That feeling of being in between, like the ground behind you is crumbling but the next step hasn't appeared yet, that's the middle space where transformation brews. This is where your wings are growing. So, if you've been feeling a little off, a little out of place, a little emotional for no reason, please understand, your body and soul are recalibrating. You're no longer tolerating what drains you. You're no longer settling for almost. You're no longer molding yourself to fit rooms that were never designed for someone like you. You're not crazy for feeling everything. You're not overreacting. You're awakening. And here's the wild thing about awakening. It doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it arrives with a blindfold and asks you to walk anyway. But I promise you this, the life that's waiting on the other side of this leap is one where you finally get to rest without guilt, love without fear, and receive without compromise. It's the kind of life where your past isn't your anchor, it's your alchemy. Where all the nights you thought you were breaking were really just nights you were bending toward the light. Where the loneliness wasn't punishment, it was protection. Because you had to be set apart for this next chapter. You had to be cleared out so something real could take root. And it's coming, my friend. The reinforcements are coming. The aligned people, the deeper love, the creative ideas, the divine support, the clarity, the softness, the wild laughter, the safe arms, the internal yes, all of it. It's not just coming, it's arriving now. But your only job? Make room for it. Let the door close. Let the old versions die. Let the hope that no longer serves you dissolve. Because something bigger is asking to take its place. This is the final contraction before birth. The tremble before the breakthrough. The deep breath before the curtain lifts. And I need you to know that the universe believes in you so deeply, not because you've proven yourself 1,000 times over, but because it can feel what's inside you. It can feel what's rising. This isn't just another season. This is the one that rewrites everything. So please, don't wait to feel ready. Just begin. Begin even if your voice shakes. Begin even if your hands tremble. Begin even if you cry the whole way through. Because the version of you that's waiting on the other side, they are brilliant, they are free, and they've been waiting for you to arrive. So go. Step, jump, leap, trust. You were born for this. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there. Hello and welcome, my dear friend. You weren't pulled into this message by coincidence. Some part of you has already started sensing the shift, feeling time stretch and bend around you in ways that don't make sense to those still glued to the surface of things. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. You see, there's something about you that stops people mid-thought. Not because you're loud, not because you're trying, but because your presence carries a silent contradiction. You look like you've escaped something the rest of the world is still trapped in. And you have. If these words resonate with your spirit, please take a second and subscribe. Like and share this video. You don't know how many souls, just like you, need to hear this. And you can be the vessel for them to feel the same truth that's already stirring within you. You know, people don't know how to explain it. They glance at you, and then glance again, as if their eyes are playing tricks on them. You don't seem to carry the weight of the years you've lived. You don't wear your pain like armor, and that unsettles them. Because we've all been taught to expect decay, to assume that with time comes loss, of glow, of softness, of joy. But with you, time seems to be adding something instead of taking it away. This is where the illusion breaks. They told you aging was a countdown, a linear unraveling of beauty, energy, and clarity. But what they never said, what they may never understand, is that time is malleable when your spirit is awake. The calendar might say one thing, But your reflection speaks another language entirely. One that says, I've lived, yes, but I didn't die inside doing it. So what's really happening? Let's break it down. First, you're not aging, you're recoding. Most people live on autopilot, programmed by external narratives about how they're supposed to feel and look at every stage. But something in you rejected that programming. Maybe it was the betrayal that cracked you open. Maybe it was the silence of solitude that gave you your real voice. But whatever it was, it interrupted the script, and you began rewriting it, not on paper but in your cells, your nervous system, your frequency. And now you're seeing the proof. The glow they notice, it isn't surface level. It's not about products or good lighting. It's the afterglow of truth. Truth metabolized through tears, honesty, and uncomfortable transformation. That's why your skin feels like it's been kissed by clarity.
And hear the words
That's
of
why
truth
your
I bring to you
eyes
this
sparkle,
day.
like they remember something sacred, because they do. You remember who you are, even if the world forgot. Here's something most people miss. Stress is aging. But not just any stress. Inauthenticity is one of the fastest aging toxins on Earth. Pretending to be okay when you're not. Smiling to be palatable. Shrinking your truth to make others comfortable. That tightness doesn't stay in your mind. It lodges in your body. It pulls your shoulders forward, it dulls your eyes, it slows down your repair systems. But you chose truth over approval. And that one decision started to reverse everything. Now think about this. How many people do you know who've aged more from emotional exhaustion than from time itself? How many faces have you seen that carry the bruises of unspoken stories? And what about you? What did it take for you to stop carrying what was never yours? You've done something that very few people do. You let go of false roles, and your body noticed. The tension dropped, your breath deepened, your gut started to trust you again. The inflammation went down, not just physically, but spiritually. You stopped trying to impress a world that never really saw the real you. And the result? Your face started telling the truth. Not the story of how many years you've lived, but how deeply you've chosen to live them. That's the difference. People who perform through life age fast. But people who evolve through it, they age like galaxies expand. Mysteriously, beautifully, and without apology. You didn't just avoid burnout. You burned away everything that wasn't real. And what's left now is magnetic. Not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. You are rare energy. And rare energy doesn't follow earthly clocks. You're not ahead of your time. You're outside of it. Now let's talk about the real secret behind your timelessness. You've stopped performing for the matrix. The systems that keep people trapped in stress, comparison, and endless competition have no power over you anymore. You saw right through it. You saw that chasing the next moment, the next approval, the next trend would only age your spirit into dust, and you walked away. You chose stillness, alignment, authenticity. When you stopped chasing, the game changed, and the rules, they didn't apply to you anymore. People who are constantly performing for acceptance or validation are burning up their energy at an unsustainable rate. They're living on borrowed time, stretching themselves thin to be who they think they should be. But you, when you chose peace over performance, you gave yourself the greatest gift, rest. And that's why you look different. You stopped leaking your energy into places that didn't feed your soul. And now, your energy is your own again. You're not only reclaiming your time, you're reclaiming your body's natural vitality. They don't know how to process it. They can't wrap their heads around how someone who has endured so much still carries so much light. And the truth? You didn't just survive. You transcended. You went through fire, yes, but you didn't come out of it broken. You came out of it like a diamond forged under pressure, sharper, stronger, and more radiant. The scars that most people would wear as signs of defeat, you wear as symbols of power. You didn't just heal from the wounds, you regenerated. You've entered your second act, not as someone who's been beaten down by time, but as someone who's learned how to use time to your advantage. The divine secret to your timelessness is not in some beauty routine or daily exercise regime. It's in how you've embraced isolation as your teacher. It's in how you chose to learn in silence, to grow in the spaces most people fear. You allowed solitude to refine you, not break you. You didn't need the world's noise to validate your growth. You went inward, and that inward journey is what brought you back to life more powerful than before. They think that time left you behind, but it actually equipped you with everything you needed to step into your greatness. You were hidden for a season, so you could age without corruption. You didn't have to rush like the rest of them. You didn't have to race towards things you didn't even want. Instead, you were shaped, molded, and prepared for something far beyond their understanding. Now, when you re-emerge, you're not just older, you're a force. You're not a product of society's timeline. You are the outcome of spiritual alignment and soulful preparation. You are a walking testament to what happens when you choose yourself, when you choose your truth, and you let that guide every decision you make. Time didn't wear you down. It made you untouchable. So let's reflect on something. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard life tries to tear you down, you still stand, stronger, wiser, and more magnetic than before? Why does it feel like every step forward just adds to your brilliance? That's not an accident. That's the result of aligning with a deeper truth. What they see in your face is not just the passage of years. They see the evolution of your soul. And that, my dear friend, is not something time can steal from you. They thought your best years were behind you. They thought you were running out of gas, waiting to fade away with the rest of them. But that's not who you are, and they'll never understand. You're here to break all those rules, as they stand in awe, trying to piece together the mystery of your timeless beauty. Know this, it's not a secret. It's a truth that lives in your heart. It's a truth that whispers to you in the quiet of your soul, telling you that you were meant to age differently. You were meant to unfold in ways that don't follow any earthly clock. And every year, every trial, every moment of solitude only adds to your radiance. You've learned something that most will never discover. True beauty isn't about stopping time. It's about becoming so deeply yourself that time has no power over you. And now, as they watch you glow, as they wonder how you've stayed so powerful, so fresh, so young, they will only see what's on the surface. But you know the real story. You've defied the rules. And the beauty you carry? It's not fading. It's unfolding. It's becoming. And it's only going to get brighter from here. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.
Ever spent hours stuck on a problem, feeling like you're getting nowhere fast? We've all been there. But what if I told you the key to breaking through isn't just pushing harder, but a surprising act of strength, asking for help? Stick around till the end, because we'll also be sharing some awesome tips on how to effectively ask for help. Why we struggle. There are many reasons why we resist asking for help. Sometimes, society throws messages our way that needing help signifies weakness or inadequacy. The fear of rejection can be paralyzing. We might imagine ourselves becoming a burden on others, or feel pressured to maintain a facade of self-sufficiency. Let's be honest. Sometimes we even fall into a pride trap, thinking we should be able to handle everything on our own, like some kind of lone wolf hero. But this prideful approach can backfire spectacularly. It can lead to frustration, isolation, and getting stuck spinning our wheels. We miss out on the chance to learn and grow because we're afraid to reach out for a helping hand that could be the push we need to move forward. Asking for help is a sign of strength. Here's the truth bomb we need to drop. Asking for help is a super brave act. It takes a lot of guts to admit you need some support, to be vulnerable enough to trust someone else. Think about it. It shows you're self-aware, willing to learn and grow beyond your current limitations. It demonstrates a determination to succeed, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone. This is the mark of a true go-getter. Someone who understands that collaboration and support are the cornerstones of achievement. Nobody gets to be amazing all by themselves. We all need that extra boost, a fresh perspective, or a helping hand to reach our full potential. The magic of asking for help. By reaching out for help, you unlock a treasure chest overflowing with possibilities. You gain access to the knowledge, experience, and support of others. Imagine getting a whole new way of looking at a problem, a perspective that helps you crack a challenge you couldn't solve on your own. Working together with others can lead to incredible results that you never could have achieved by yourself. 2 minds, or 10, are definitely better than 1. Plus, asking for help strengthens the very relationships you value. It shows people you trust them and value their advice, building a sense of teamwork and camaraderie. It fosters connection and reminds you that you're not alone in facing challenges. Making the ask smoothly. So how do you translate that bravery into action? Here are some easy tips to make asking for help a smooth and successful experience. Be clear about your needs. The clearer you are about what kind of help you need, the easier it is for someone to offer the right kind of support. Don't make them play guessing games. Choose your ally wisely. Think about who you trust and who has the skills or knowledge that best align with your need for help. Maybe it's a coworker who excels in that specific area, a friend who's been through a similar challenge, or a mentor who can offer guidance. Consider their strengths and how they can complement yours. Specificity is key. Don't just say, "I need help." Explain what's going on, what you've tried so far, and what specific part you're stuck on. The more details you give, the better the help you'll get. Be open to new ideas. Be receptive to different approaches and solutions. Sometimes the most brilliant ideas come from unexpected places. Remember, the goal is to find the best path forward, not just validation of your initial thoughts. Remember, you are not alone. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows you're willing to learn and grow, and that you value the support of others. So next time you're facing a challenge, don't be afraid to reach out. You might be surprised by how willing people are to help, and by the amazing things you can achieve together. We all need help sometimes, and there's a whole community out there ready to offer support. After all, that's what makes us human. Our ability to connect, collaborate, and help each other reach our full potential. Asking for help makes a difference. We've all been there. The moment where asking for help made a huge difference. Maybe you were stuck on a creative project, and a friend's suggestion sparked a whole new idea. Perhaps you were struggling with a personal issue, and talking to a therapist gave you the tools you needed to move forward. Whatever the situation, there's power in sharing your stories. Share your stories to inspire others. In the comments below, share your stories about a time when asking for help made a big difference in your life. Let's create a space where asking for help is celebrated, not something to be ashamed of. By sharing our experiences, we can inspire others to embrace the courage of asking for help and unlock the amazing things that can happen when we work together. Asking for help can be a learned skill. If asking for help feels uncomfortable at first, that's okay. It's a skill that can be learned and developed over time. Start small. Maybe ask a friend to proofread an email or brainstorm solutions to a minor problem. As you get more comfortable, you can tackling bigger challenges and reaching out to people with more
Look towards
specialized
the light,
knowledge.
my brothers, and hear
Remember,
the words
the
of
more you
truth I
practice
bring to you
asking
this
for help,
day.
the easier it will become. You're not alone. We all need help sometimes. So go out there, embrace your courage, and ask for help. You might be surprised by the positive impact it can have on your life. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might benefit from it. See you next time.
Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There's a reason you're hearing this. And no, this isn't a soft, floaty, the stars aligned kind of reason. This one has weight to it. You've been pulled here by a force older than your pain, older than the stories you've outlived, older than anything you could have tried to control. Something's coming, and if your chest has been tightening for no reason, if you've been waking up in the middle of the night feeling like something's approaching, you're right. Because what's coming is not small, it's not subtle, and it's not quiet. It's a collision between two souls. Not a cute meet cute, not a spiritual upgrade, not an energetic nudge, but a real, undeniable electric crash between who you've become and who's been prepared to meet you there. The kind of meeting that doesn't ask for your permission, it just happens, and everything after it looks different. You've been doing something rare, something most don't have the courage to do. You stopped pretending you were okay. You stopped putting love in the hands of those who never held you properly. You stopped bargaining with your own worth. And that wasn't clean, was it? This wasn't a graceful awakening. This was you, crawling out of stories that made you smaller, shedding skins that no longer let your soul breathe. You've cried in parking lots. You've held your breath in bathrooms. You've been the person holding everyone else together, while no one noticed you were falling apart. And through all that, you didn't shut down. You didn't go cold. You stayed open, even if your voice trembled, even if your hands shook, even when you questioned whether it was worth it. That open heart of yours. It's why this is happening now. This next chapter is not about fixing. This isn't about healing one more layer before you're worthy. You've already been down in the mud, face to face with what you thought would break you, but it didn't. It refined you. And now, you've become the kind of soul who can call in something real, something mutual, something holy. Let me ask you something. Can you remember the last time you felt met, not just seen? The last time someone didn't flinch at your depth? The last time you weren't the only one reaching, bending, holding? That ache you've felt most of your life. The one that whispered, there has to be more than this. It wasn't lying, because now, someone's being guided to you. Someone whose soul has been through their own version of sacred fire. Someone who didn't just survive, but transformed, just like you. This is what a soul collision feels like before it happens. You'll feel a kind of nervous peace, like your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up with. You'll feel an impulse to clean your space. You'll feel guided to walk a different route, say yes to an invite you'd usually decline, book a trip you weren't planning on. You'll catch your reflection and see something ancient in your eyes, like you've been preparing for this moment for lifetimes. Because you have. And now that you've released the ghost of what almost was, now that you've stopped clinging to the versions of love that only taught you how to beg for scraps, now that you've honored the part of you that finally said, no more negotiating my worth, the collision begins, not as a test, not as a lesson, but as a response, a divine response. So, What does it look like when two souls collide? It doesn't look like fireworks. It doesn't look like a movie, not at first. It looks like stillness. It looks like recognition. It feels like your nervous system suddenly relaxing in a way it didn't even know it needed. It feels like someone just walked in and your soul exhaled because they see you. Not the version of you you've curated, not the role you've been playing, but you, as you are, as you've become. And you'll know, not because of their words, but because your old fears will try to rise, because you'll catch yourself looking for the exit, not because something's wrong, but because for the first time, nothing is. And that kind of peace can feel unfamiliar, almost suspicious. When all you've known is survival, safety feels like a trick, but it's not. This person, this soul, won't complete you. They'll mirror you, the healed parts and the holy ones, the parts that still need patience. The brilliance you forgot was yours. They'll challenge your rhythm, not to shake you, but to dance with you. Because they're not coming to be your other half. They're coming because you're already whole. And that's what made the timing possible. Let me be clear, this is not about being ready. The divine doesn't wait for your perfection. It waits for your alignment. And that alignment? It wasn't achieved through pretending to be okay, through being everything to everyone, through reading another self-help book or saying another affirmation out of fear. No, it was born the moment you stopped abandoning yourself. When you said, "I don't know where this path leads, but I trust myself to walk it anyway." When you began showing up for your own heart like no one else ever had, that's when it began. That's when the collision clock started ticking. And now, you're in the gravitational pull of something fated. For some of you, this may come through a literal person, a soulmate connection that awakens a part of you that's been asleep for years. Someone who doesn't just get you. They feel like they were carved from the same ancient ache you've been carrying. For others, this soul collision might first come as a path, a calling, a location, a moment where your entire being whispers, "This is it. This is mine." And you walk toward it. Even if your knees shake, even if the old you starts screaming in protest. Because here's the truth. This isn't about romance. It's about resonance. And sometimes resonance wears the face of a lover. Sometimes a new city. Sometimes your own reflection, finally smiling back at you without flinching. So let me ask you, can you let yourself receive this? Can you sit at the table you've prepared for years and let yourself eat? Can you stop performing healing and just exist inside it? Can you stop auditioning for love and realize you are the role? Can you let it be easy now? Not because it always will be, but because you've made it through everything that wasn't. This soul collision will not fix your life. It will amplify it. It will meet you where you've met yourself. And if you've been soft with yourself lately, if you've been gentle, if you've started talking to your inner child like they're sacred and not broken, you're already preparing. You are preparing, even when it doesn't look like progress, even when your hands are shaking, even when your voice cracks mid-prayer. Because this is what alignment looks like, showing up anyway, softening when the world says harden, trusting when you can't predict the next 5 steps. So, When it arrives, when they arrive, don't question your worthiness. Don't try to play small so you don't scare it away. Don't tell yourself you need to heal a little more before you open your arms. Just breathe, just feel, just receive. Because the door has opened, not because you earned it, but because you became it. This is your moment, and the only thing left to do now is meet it, fully, honestly, and without apology. It's about to be beautiful. Let it. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If you found value in this message, please like the video and share it with others who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your amazing journey by watching one of the videos showing on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.